Take off.
And with that, we are back for the third out of 4 hours.
Why do you do
that? And yeah, Tim just had a friendly competition with a fellow acolyte, and won that competition.
Rather spectacularly, may we add.
Yes, she did.
I mean,
she did
if
roll.
she's up for going best out of 3 or something like that, I don't mind.
She would be. She absolutely would be.
Now she's determined to win.
It's a stain on her honor.
I'm gonna win. Fuck you, newbie. I'm not gonna lose to you.
Yeah, she just got one up by a greenhorn.
Yep, she can have that. So roll 2 more, and we'll see.
Let's see. Okay, he actually misses.
Yep.
Well, you can use a reroll if you want to. After all, you do have your points for that.
Yep.
You're turned off.
I want to impress her. Am I still?
No, you're not turned off anymore. I can hear you.
No, you're fine now.
Yep.
Because I turned my mic back on.
Oh.
I spoke. No, I would like to re-roll that one because I want to
Just don't make it worse.
just kind of want to win.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Can I keep doing it?
No, you can only re-roll once.
Yes.
Oh.
So he just made it even worse.
Then I guess I'll roll the other one then.
Yes.
I mean, with the plus 30, I have a 79 in ballistic skill.
Oh
and yet
shit!
And
you roll a 7?
I want to re-roll.
97.
You want to re-roll? Okay.
95.
Oh, much better. Much better. Okay.
So he might actually get the 2 out of 3.
He does get 2 out of 3, and so basically Tim wins this friendly contest, and Trina, as is her name, is, well, she sighs as she puts down her weapon. She's also wielding a long lass, and she puts it down on the counter before her and looks at Tim and says, "Well, that is some fine shooting you did there."
You as well? I should hope I could hit. I assume that's why I was recruited.
I assume as well that was why you were recruited, and yeah. Anyway, Tim, it was a pleasure to meet you. And she takes her long lass and
Likewise.
she leaves the shooting range.
Oh, she's pissy.
If so, she doesn't.
I will definitely practice some more.
Yeah, she doesn't show it, but that's not to say that she isn't pissy.
Exactly. Are you going to? By the way, are you going to add a personnel file for her in the journal?
Yes, I will. I will. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. I do have the text for it, but yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do so.
Do I get a fate point back for winning?
No, not quite.
Aww.
Meanwhile, yeah. Meanwhile, in the parkour range, Medea is practicing. She's on her own. There no one else in there with her. So she's just.
Other than whatever surveillance they have, of course.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
She's never alone.
No, she's never really alone.
Big Brother is watching.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna do something you're gonna hate me for because it's with the whole
an obligation.
It's mostly with Heine, but isn't this the right time to start singing "You'll Never Walk Alone"?
No, there's never a right time to sing that.
Yeah, I know.
Where's that song from?
It's a Liverpool song for the Premier League in football, and yes. Heine is a dyed-in-the-wool, bleeds red and white
yes.
Manchester United fan.
Yes, and so any reference of any positive reference, at least of Liverpool or Man City or Chelsea, is bound to result in a subtraction of XP.
Oh, you see, I was going to say something, but now I can't. Well, because technically it's not me. It's not me that that is a fan of Liverpool. It's my dad. So.
Oh, Phil.
Well, oh well, poor man, poor man.
I'm sure he'd say the same
but
with you.
that was quite simply, that was way too good a chance to pass up.
I will say though that, and this we'll get back to the game after this. I will say though that Manchester United recently surpassed Liverpool in number of trophies. So there is that. Anyway, let's get back to the 41st millennium, in which Manchester United sadly does not exist.
No, sadly not.
Maybe
that must
they've
be
just changed names.
Enough reason for you to not want to go there.
Well, there is always the Black Planet, Birmingham.
Oh,
that's old school Warhammer 1K.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Sorry.
Move on.
Now we've been very nerdy for a moment here.
We have. Okay, so
I don't understand what you're nerdy about.
I'm sorry, Aya.
So, Medea, you have some time on your own in this. Well, of course, apart from the constant and always present surveillance that exists, you have no doubt of it. You can't see it in every room, but you're absolutely certain that no matter where in the Tricon you go, there's someone watching.
That's interesting to know when you go take a dump.
Yep.
Look at my poopy face.
Ew. Oh, that's disgusting.
Poor man who sits in the control center with all the screens, having to look at all those poop faces. Anyway.
On the other hand, he probably wouldn't mind watching all the ladies bathe.
No, he probably wouldn't. Anyway, this is getting weird.
You started it.
Well, I just talked about surveillance.
Yeah, and
but
you said it was everywhere.
Yeah, and it really is.
There is no such thing as private life in this place.
No, there really isn't. And
well, if you're an inquisitor, then there probably is.
Well,
I imagine that they have a couple of rooms that are not actually, under constant surveillance, or are they?
Well, Medea is pretty used to 4 rock rats, so she never had any privacy to begin with.
No, I can imagine that she didn't.
Okay.
Anyway, she actually gives it her all practicing in there.
Okay.
And she's never done anything less, surprisingly, to most, probably.
Mm.
And it's mostly practicing mobility and shooting at targets while moving.
Yeah. Okay. So some live fire exercising.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Every time she fucks up, she tries again.
And once in a while, she notices that the woman who greeted them when they arrived at Hypsibella's, Trina is her name, is observing her. She's standing near the entrance to the parkour range and live fire ranges, and she observes Medea as she goes through her exercises, and at some point she comes over. I imagine Medea's probably taking a drink of water or something. And she comes over and says,
She's very agile and her aim has gotten even better.
Yeah.
It's almost 50-50 now. She's 49 in ballistic skills.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
That's as good as Tim.
Yeah.
Give her a long-last rifle and she will give you a run for your money.
That would actually be interesting to see. She comes over and it's not hard to see, Medea, why the Inquisitor picked you. Do you know that you were picked?
I'm well aware.
Did you ever see them?
Hmm.
The Watchers.
No, they were busy digging through my brain.
I don't get the reference. I'm sure I'm. It must be an Underhive reference.
No, they literally dig through my brain with a cyber.
Oh. Oh. But surely you must have seen them watching you before then.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Well, if she did, I'm pretty sure you would have told me.
Yes. You prior to the events leading up to your you becoming an acolyte, you've not had any kind of interaction with or knowledge of anything spooky watching you.
But on the other hand, in the Underhive, a lot of weirdo look at you.
I imagine.
It becomes a regular thing.
What's it like down there?
Crowded.
Crowded. Well, it's crowded everywhere. It's crowded in the mid-hive where all the workers toil every day.
Oh,
It's
no,
crowded.
no. That's not crowded. You haven't been to the Underhive, have you?
No, I've been fortunate enough that our Inquisitor has not yet set me loose in the Underhive.
Well, you go down there and you will never say that the mid section is crowded again.
How do you survive that?
Medea takes the time to think about it because she's just been there, she's just done it. So she's actually having to recall what she actually did to survive. Well, you learn quickly or you die. Adapt.
You adapt. Well, that is a useful trait to have as an acolyte. The ability to adapt. What do you think of your fellow acolytes? What is your impression of them?
Are there any way to sense motive in this?
Yes, you can absolutely sense motive.
I want to sense her motive, because she's digging in places that doesn't really become her.
Scrutiny,
Is that
I think.
awareness?
Yeah, scrutiny would do it.
Yeah, and that's perception.
Perception.
Do you have the scrutiny skill?
No, it's half perception.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's half perception. Yes, it's a basic skill.
I could start questioning her too.
You could.
Nothing happened. I clicked roll. Why's nothing happening?
Weird.
Well, it did the same thing last time. It's like it doesn't like this way of doing things. In a second, we'll have 500 different rolls down there. It won't. Maybe if I roll something else. Modifier, submit. That'll roll. Why won't it roll perception?
Oh, it just came up with 2 perception checks.
Oh, right. Well, it's the
Weird.
first one.
Okay.
18 and half of 37. I don't know what that is.
Half of 37.
That is 18.
That is 18.
Nice.
Actually, I think you round off so that it benefits the player, don't
Yeah,
you? Or,
maybe.
Yeah, so it would be 19, but still, that's pretty good, obviously.
Okay. Well, what are you trying to spot? What are you trying to scrutinize?
Why she is asking.
Oh,
Is it like, I want you to poke these bastards so I can find a way to throw them in jail? Or I want to scrutinize you because I want to see who you are?
the latter. Absolutely the latter. She's poking you and trying to see who you are, what you think, how you operate, and she's doing that by asking you questions.
Alright. Because it was just like, I want you to throw someone under the bus, then you just go.
Well,
My
it
fellow
might be, but
acolytes.
that's not really Medea's impression, at least.
No. Well, they're different people, that's for sure.
Yes, they are. They most certainly are. What of Akolon? How has he fared? How did he fare on Sofano Luna?
Well, actually, I didn't think he would. He's the very quiet kind. I thought he'd run away, but he didn't.
He stood tall in the face of danger.
Yep. He did very well.
That surprises me. I'm not used to psychers standing tall at all.
Well, he didn't run away. He didn't bawl like a baby. He stood where he was supposed to do. He did what he was told to do, and he did it very well.
And you noticed no ill effects of his powers?
Medea looks thought, well, I haven't really dealt that much with psychers before.
Well, if
So I wouldn't know.
if there were ill effects, you would most definitely know.
Then no. The jumps were the worst, and that's about it.
The jumps into warp space.
Yep.
Find them quite exciting, really. Dangerous.
You like strange whispers in your ears?
No, they never whisper to me. They scream.
If only they did that. At least that would be a very regular sound.
So there are lots of screaming in the Underhive.
Yep.
Death screams.
Tons.
I see. And what of Tim? What's he like? Do you think?
Reliable.
Reliable.
Very good shot.
Well, I don't know about that.
Have you even seen him shoot?
Yes, I have seen him shoot.
You know he's a good shot.
I suppose.
She doesn't even seem like she's the least bullshitting. She says it like it's a fact.
Yeah. I suppose he's competent enough. Certainly competent enough for the Inquisitor to pick him.
I don't like this woman.
The woman will notice that Medea is now scrutinizing her to see if she's actually bullshitting.
Okay, roll scrutiny again then.
And it's quite obvious that if you've seen him shoot, then you're bullshitting right now. Do it well this time. No. I need scrutiny. I need to know what people are thinking. She's not bullshitting.
No, not as far as Medea can tell, at least. Medea is convinced that she's not bluffing in any way. She doesn't.
She finds it. She finds it competent. Okay.
At most.
At most. I like Tim. Hey!
Yeah. So, what then of your leader, the sister? What do you make of her?
Medea goes quiet, and now it's obvious that she really needs to think this through before she opens her mouth. She opens her mouth once, and then closes it again. Then opens it again, and then closes it again, and then just settles one. Well, she's something, isn't she?
She chuckles. Yes, she is something. She... Yes. Yes, I suppose that's a proper term. Something.
Not something bad. But
Oh,
something.
a sister of battle is by its very nature good. And yes. But she seems I've only met her once, but she seems off somehow.
Off.
Yes, I've met sisters of battle before, and even in our brief exchange of words, I sensed something different about her.
Can't tell she's the only sister of battle I've met.
Huh. Yes, I imagine so. They don't often come into the Underhive.
Nope.
Well, except to...
Well, if they were down there, they'd stick out pretty
Yes.
massively.
Yes, they would. Anyway, it's been a long and eventful day for me. I have a prisoner to interrogate, so if you'll excuse me. And then she nods and leaves the parkour range.
Medea follows her with her look. Oh, with her gaze.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she leaves, and does Medea do anything else, or does she continue training, or what's the plan?
She continues training until supper.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Sister Francesca and Acolon. You had something you needed to discuss.
Yes.
Yes, I think we did, didn't we?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, Francesca goes to her own quarters when we're back and so on. She heads to her quarters to wait for Acolon to arrive. He wanted to have words about something, so
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. When he turns up, obviously he asks if it's okay to enter.
By all means.
Goes in and shuts the door behind him, if there is a door to be shut behind him. Thank you for seeing me.
You're welcome.
I'll get to the point. While we were in the cathedral, I saw something unexpected and unnatural.
I see.
As the out of character, what was the title of the bishop?
I spoke bishop, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
just bishop. And there was some fancy imperial term for it.
There might be a range of bishops. I don't know, but for now let's just call him a bishop.
Yes. The bishop came to grant us all his blessing.
Yes.
As I knelt before him, I sensed something, and an aura of light appeared. I did not immediately look upon him directly. I did not feel it was my place to, but the light, the sensation made me curious, and I turned up my eyes, and what I saw in the bishop's place was... Oh, Emperor preserve me. A skeleton with nary a scrap of flesh or muscle upon it, in black armor and with a great pillar of flame emanating from it towards the roof of the cathedral.
Francesca turns towards him, or half turns at least towards him, and then gestures for him to take a seat in a chair somewhere.
He does so.
And she says, so... Now, I do not pretend to understand the mind of the Psyker, for obvious reasons. Is this something you have experienced before? Visions of such a nature?
Yes, of a fashion. I
see.
experienced a similar premonition, but much more vivid, much more engaging, directly before I was taken from my homeworld by the Inquisition here the first time.
All right, but that was the first time you experienced it then? You haven't experienced it other than those 2 times?
No, never that much clarity with that much involvement.
But even less so then, that's the point I'm trying to establish here, whether you having visions is a completely new thing, or if it is something that you have had for a long time to a greater or lesser extent. Having visions, Accolon, is not in itself counter-doctrinal. There are such things as premonitions, visions, augury. This sort of thing is, in fact, even sanctioned under the Imperial Creed. There is a reason why we have the Emperor's Tarot. So that in itself is not an ill omen, but what you are describing just here is obviously a disturbing sight, to say the least.
I have not experienced visions of this nature before. These would be the first times, and this is one of the first of its kind.
All right. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to spend the next 3 nights in the chapel here in the Tricorn. I want you to fast during the day. I want you to eat and drink as little as you can. 3 days entirely without food or water may not be advisable, but keep it to a minimum. I want you to, as I said, spend the 3 nights there in prayer and reaffirm your connection, as I know you have. Again, I do not pretend to understand the mind of a psyker, but you are sanctioned, and consequently, this may either be a test related to the bishop and may have been simply a matter of, because of the seriousness of the situation. Being blessed by a bishop is not an everyday occurrence for anyone. It may have triggered something in you. Or, and this is obviously the most disturbing of the options, this may in fact have something to do with the bishop, and we must therefore be vigilant. Now, personally, I think that the safer of the 3 options is the third one. And while we cannot assume anything yet, to at least be wary and keep, shall we say, keeping an ear to the ground when it comes to His Holiness. And I do thank you for actually bringing this to me. I imagine that was not that easy, or that you may have been worried about my reactions.
I would say that your diligence in combating this deviation of doctrine today was inspired me to bring this matter to you as my immediate superior. And regardless of my own safety, although it does obviously, I am afraid of, to a degree, of what may happen, I am also aware that my life means nothing in the face of my duty to the Emperor and his servants.
Self-preservation has a tendency to get in the way of doing one's duty, but I am very pleased to see that in this case you did the right thing regardless. Now, as I said, spend time in the chapel, pray, cleanse yourself, reaffirm your connection to the Emperor, and let us be observant for now. There are things going on in that district. I think we can agree on that there are things going on in that district that are troublesome.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm telling you this is we go to the Adeptus Arbites with this and are fobbed off. That is what it is. They are busy people. We then go to the Ecclesiarchy, who tell us that these preachers, street preachers, have been detained and questioned and then released. I would be lying if I said that there wasn't something about this whole situation that worried me. They were very eager to explain what was going on, which is good. I have no problem with that, obviously. But they don't seem particularly willing to do what may be needed. As you know, as I have said, I strongly believe that the Emperor is... I do believe in the Emperor's love of his subjects. I also believe that it is our responsibility to earn and deserve that. And if we do not, if we cast that aside, then there should be no mercy. None. And for someone to preach counter-doctrinal faith is inexcusable. The man I let walk was very close to forfeiting his life. The way I see it, I may have frightened him, but the way I look at it is I saved his life. Because if I had let him talk for another 2 minutes, I would have been obligated to pull out my bolter and execute him where he stood.
Yes, I had the impression that you were in complete control of that situation and did work to ensure his correction in a gentler manner.
There is that. There is also the possibility that if these creatures are working together, he is going to run back to whoever gave him his orders and tell him that a tall woman in power armor very nearly killed him, warned him off what you were. If I can put the fear of the Emperor into these people, then why not? If I had simply shot him where he stood, he would have been another casualty on the streets of the Middle Hive, and nobody would have really ever known why. The local law enforcement would have arrived to figure out what was going on. I would have shown them the inquisitorial eye. They would have taken one look at the power armor. They would have shrugged and walked away. If the Adeptus Arbites had arrived instead because they were closer, pretty much the same thing would have happened. People die in areas like that every day by their tens of thousands, and nobody cares. There are always more people.
I confess that such an attitude to life, while not unknown to me, it's in much sharper focus here than it was on Piety of Seth.
It strikes me that when you were still at Piety of Seth, you have lived a reasonably safe life, very, I would say, secluded life. Am I correct? I know you had some dealings that were problematic towards the end of it. You told us as much. But for the most part, your life there was a safe one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
My life and my duties were beholden entirely to the local ecclesiarchy.
Well, I have to say that my personal experience with attitudes towards life, if you would, is pretty much formed on the basis of my upbringing. And when your parents die in the service of the emperor, there is a chance, if you show some promise, that you are taken to the Schola Progenium. That is what happened to me. So I have grown up knowing my duty from a very early age and understanding that a life has value to the person holding it and to their immediate surroundings and their friends and family and so on. But that this is the Imperium is beset on all sides, including from within, by a myriad of enemies, all of them vile, all of them offensive to the God Emperor. And it is our sacred duty to combat this where we find it, however we find it, and in whatever manner we can, including at the cost of our own lives, meaning my life, your life, any life out there is, in the greater scheme of things, completely irrelevant. The Imperium must endure.
Question not your lot in this life. Be content to serve him upon the throne, however humble your station.
Indeed.
And I shall.
That is good.
If I would like to speak more to you, but I have
Absolutely. At whatever time, I do think I would enjoy that.
But
You
now
are
I
an
shall.
intelligent man, and I should like to talk to you more. I do have to say one thing before you leave.
Of course.
I am keenly aware that I'm the odd one out in this group. For any number of reasons. I am not... I have... Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but the armor kind of gives it away. It does not mean that I consider myself a better human being than any of the other three of you. It just means that I cannot relate to a lot of the life experiences you have because my existence has been so vastly different. I do not want to come across as either cold or distant or arrogant. I do want to succeed. And I genuinely and earnestly believe that the way we can succeed is by playing to each other's strengths.
Yes.
It does not necessarily mean being very good friends. I am not certain that someone like Medea, for example, would ever actually want to be my friend. But that does not mean that we can't learn to trust each other. Does that make any sense?
It does indeed. if I might say,
Go ahead.
you think yourself the odd one out, and yet, of the four of us, in many ways you are the one perhaps I can find to relate to the closest. Your knowledge of ecclesiastical text and litany and application of these is extensive and insightful. More
Thank
so
you.
than mine in many cases. I think you are intelligent and you have a tactical acumen far superior to any that I to my own, and maybe indeed to either Timotheus or to Medea, though they have both proven themselves capable.
Oh,
And-
definitely.
In spite of the obvious need to become a warrior, to become war and death incarnate when we are in the field, and to be able to give commands and then we expect them to be obeyed, you have never given me the impression that you were in this state of war and death at all times. You have, in training, always attempted to be helpful and worthy of trust, and for those reasons and for others, I'm sure, as I said, I can't help but feel a greater sense of kinship to you than to either Timotheus or to Medea, although I do trust them. So, although
Well-
you may feel that that armor you wear isolates you from the rest of us, know that at least in me, that is not the case.
I thank you for that. Very much, actually. That is comforting. In any case, I shall not detain you any further, but thank you for bringing this to my attention. And as I said, I think we should probably keep a very close eye on what happens in that part of the hive going forward.
I must, yes. I shall briefly return to my quarters to offload any unnecessary equipment and clothing, and then sequester myself in the chapel.
Excellent. Yep, and she lets him go.
Okay. And as I understood it, Accolon then goes to his own quarters to retrieve some whatever he needs, and then
Well,
heads.
But more to drop off, because he's still got all of his equipment, like backpack and weapons, and so he's put them all in his room,
Okay.
tidied them away, and got rid of got rid of all but his most essential items of clothing, like shirt, boots, and trousers, and probably all the little wires that he needs poking out of his head, obviously, to.
Yeah. Okay.
And then goes straight to the chapel and begins 3 days of prayer and fasting.
Okay. Okay. So it'll be a few days before anything, anything on my end happens, at least. So we can fast forward to whenever that happens, or if there's anything you need to roleplay out before that, we can do so as well.
The only thing
Well,
that
there
I
is.
would- sure. Then
Yes.
but I had something.
Yes.
Well, basically, the thought was when they gather for dinner.
Yep. You can absolutely.
But I'm
gather
guessing
for that.
Accolon is not there since he's supposed to be fasting.
You can still talk without
Because they'd be
Accolon being
watching
there.
us eat.
Yeah.
What?
Well. So before dinner happens, Accolon will have sequestered himself in the chapel, so he won't be there. The rest of you, I imagine, gather for dinner and yeah. So if there's anything you need to roleplay out during that dinner, we can absolutely do so. And I imagine that Sister Francesca at least notifies you that where.
Yeah. For goodness
Accolon
sake,
is,
yes,
so.
absolutely.
Well, as they're eating, Medea will do what she attempts to be. What would you call that? I don't know what it's called in English, and it's actually also eluded me in Danish now. That's perfect. Discreet. There was.
Yeah. Okay.
comment that, so the lady that were here when we arrived, what's her name? Because I've forgotten.
Trina.
Well, she's asking them.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Francesca answers and says, Trina.
Hmm. You know how long she's been here?
No idea whatsoever. I imagine longer than us.
She's at the very least a decent shot.
She looks over at him. Funny, she said the same about you.
Well, I should hope so. I beat her in a shooting contest.
Well done.
That little bitch!
Well done.
It just comes from midair.
Tim looks like he's about to thank Sister Francesca for complimenting him. And he just snaps to midair, looking surprised.
I think the woman in question
Downplayed your skills massively.
Yes. She's probably got her pride as well. What else did she say?
Well, she kind of questioned me about all of you.
Do you feel like sharing? Or Francesca smiles at this point. She actually, smiles a warm smile, if you want to share.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard telling her when I don't think it's something that she is supposed to know.
Oh my goodness, are we that horrible?
No, she asked what I thought about you. And of course, how the hell do you tell someone she's scary in a good way? Without it sounding completely ridiculous.
Like what you just did, actually, I think.
Yeah, but what would she get out of that? It doesn't concern her.
Maybe not. But
If she wants to know what you're like, ask you, not everyone else.
That's not really a good way to get an impression of people.
Exactly.
Probably
If
not.
you want an impression of people, ask those who know that person what they think. If I want to know a little bit more about you, I could go directly to you and ask you, but then you would color that response based on whether you think highly of yourself or whether you think very little of yourself. If I go to the people you associate with and I put all those pieces together, I get a more complete image.
I suppose that's true. Well, it really depends what you ask, really.
I suppose, but I mean, I can certainly understand why she would want to know more of us if she's supposed to be the person if she's supposed to be the person who we will be dealing with, so to say, then I think I would be if I was in her position, I think I'd feel much the same way. I think I'd want to know as well.
Yeah, you've got to know the people you're working with.
Exactly.
She asked me as well.
Well, I suppose that's true, but usually when you're questioned like that somewhere else, something sticks under. Well, that's maybe just me. I don't know. It felt weird. Tap, 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 tap.
Sorry.
It felt weird.
So, I suppose it would, but well, we will see. I suppose we will see. She hasn't asked me. I can tell you that much. She hasn't approached me to ask about any of you. If she does at some point, I will let you know what I have to say about you, depending on what questions she asks.
Well, if she asks anything like she asked me, she'll ask you what you feel about the others.
Fair enough. Well, if I do, then I'll let you know what I've said to her.
I don't really mind. It just felt weird being questioned like that, which is why I aired it.
And thank you for doing so.
I'd be more than willing to share what I let her know.
Certainly, do tell.
Well, he looks at first to Francesca and said, I praised your leadership skills
Thank you.
and your faith and your willingness and ability to deal with psychos. As for you, Medea, I expressed my sincere impression that you are very capable and good at adapting, and I told her that it was surprising to me that you didn't just run away, though I suppose that was not very nice of me to have assumed.
Well, I did express I was surprised that Akalon didn't run away. He seems very quiet, but he is.
I'm guessing he also realized that running away was probably more dangerous than facing the danger we were facing.
Why?
Because
Medea looks
run away-
puzzled.
Because you might survive the danger, you won't survive desertion.
I never thought about that.
Impressive.
Whatever the thing is, Francesca says, and it should probably be said at this point, she's not actually in armor here. She's in her robe.
It would look
you know-
weird eating dinner.
Yeah,
in her
exactly.
power armor.
Exactly. So no, her reaction is to lean forward a little bit and hold up both hands, palms forwards in a sort of whoa, easy does it sort of gesture. He says, please, we haven't known each other for years and years. I realize that. We have had some weeks together of training and so on, but it's the thing to remember here is we come from very, very different backgrounds, all of us, very different backgrounds. For one, I have practically no experience at functioning in normal everyday life. Just to give you an example, I've lived my entire life, since I was 8, in a cloistered environment. At the same time, your background, Medea, you've never actually set foot in a temple, in a cathedral, and attended prayer until now. I can't even begin to imagine the emptiness that would have resulted in for me. But there you go. Akalon, who is currently praying in the chapel, has an entirely different experience based on the fact that he is in fact a psyker, something none of the rest of us can even hope to imagine. And you, Tim, have been, as I recall, living most of your life on a station run by the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are not exactly known for their warmth and gregariousness, and they are quite machine-like for obvious reasons.
What tipped you away?
Well, the fact that you told us about it, but
He grins.
but my point is, we have such different backgrounds, and at the same time, we are now a cell. This is how the Inquisition works. The Inquisitors are powerful to the point that, I mean, please remember that if a planet, one of the many untold numbers of planets upon which humanity dwells in the Imperium, if one of these planets should fall from grace and give itself to heresy in such a way that the Inquisition embodied by each individual inquisitor, says there is no chance of redemption for this planet. They have, each and every one of them, the right to condemn an entire planet to destruction. When we are on a mission like the one we just came home from, we hold life and death decisions in our hands for the enemies that we face. We killed several, let's face it. But the one we work for, Inquisitor Dax, could kill every living being on an entire planet if she felt that it was required. That is the apparatus that we are now a part of. We are very minor players in something that massive, but it just goes to remember we have got to be able to do more than simply work together. We have got to somehow be able to trust each other. And consequently, if there are things you wish to know of me, ask them. Unless I am explicitly forbidden by oaths of secrecy, I will tell you. We have to be able to trust each other. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're all going to have to be friends, because I don't even know if that's possible. But we must be able to trust each other.
I suppose I should tell you where I went last night then.
If you wish.
I went back to the Underhive.
All right. You came back. So...
This might surprise you, but I am sorta... Well, I guess you could call me a mother.
Oh.
I have
surprising.
6 orphans I take care of down there.
I see. So you're their foster mother. You have not actually given birth to them yourself?
No, I'm way too young. The oldest is 16.
I see.
15.
Yes.
7, 4, 4, and 1.
I see. Well...
The 2 eldest are taking care of the 4 youngest. I went to check on them.
Are they well?
They seem so.
Good. And as I said, you came back. May I say something bluntly here for a moment?
She just looks at her, waiting.
You don't have to sneak off. If you need to go, by all means, then do so. As long as we know you're coming back, why would we stop you?
I'm not used to choices.
Well, maybe that's something to practice then.
Give me a second, I have to take a cut out of a bag here.
Well, I think that's a good place to end the third hour. So
yes, yes, it is.
We'll be back with more Hereticus
In a moment.
in a moment. Yes, don't go anywhere.
Out, kitty.